Good morning, good people. Today we want to look at smell classification and looking at other researches and other things which are related to smell classification. Okay. So by the end of this lesson, one has to be able to understand the smell prism by Hennings and also read more to see what they will introduce in relation to this. Okay. Smell and taste, they are more related. Gustation and olfaction. There are more chemical senses. That's why I find out most of the times when you read about them, they're always in one category. Okay, so when we look at smell or chemical senses, the sense signal for the sense is a molecular chemical or ion which stimulates receptors in the nose or on the tongue. Studies show that people can identify poisonous substance, gender of others for some traditional hard scent can also used to track some certain prey. So that's why you find out smell is used in quite a number of things. And also that's why we're talking about classification of smell. So many diseases also produce particular odors that can be used in diagnosis, like trimethylaminuria, a liver disorder that leads to strong smell of rotting fish in people's breath and sweat. You see, and then comes pheromones, special scents used usually in mating. A certain pheromone will be produced by fertile females, exciting males. You see, so that's why you see this example, which is right here. Hold it right here, young lady. Before you go out, take off some of that makeup and wash off that gallon of pheromones. You see, so they're trying to relate to this, that it excites quite a number of males. Now looking at the prism by Hennings. So the smell prism is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in general. And then he said, and then Henning said, whatever is not at the corner fits in between as a combination of smells. So 1916, Hans Henning attempted to classifying smells using 6 general categories: flowery, fruity, putrid, and then fruity, spicy, burnt, resinous is more like that sharp smell, or peachy or tar as well. And then non-corner smells are combinations. However, many criticize this as being an ad hoc and too restrictive. Yes, and too restrictive. So that's why quite a number of these smells, some follow it, some they say it is too much. You can see that there's flowery, there's fruity, there's burnt, resinous, putrid, spicy. And to make sure, putrid, okay, it's another type of smell. Okay, so now looking at other scenarios like spicy food, spicy food are quite sharp. And then flowery, flowers, they are quite smelly. Fruity, citrus, they got this other nice sharp smell. Then resinous, something which is sharp, or tar, how tar, or when a road is being made, that kind of smell for tar, some of those heavy smells to some extent, I would say. And then goes to burnt, some things which are bad. Putrid is more like some things which are rotten, you see, or organic or decaying. And then goes to spicy. Okay, so classifying using or the use of MDS by Schiffman, 1974, has done some extensive work using this MDS in an attempt to determine the psychological dimensions of smell. Here, research has generated 2 dimensions of smell, pleasant and unpleasant, and another dimension which is yet to be characterized. You can see that in this dimension, then the 3rd dimension is yet to be characterized. First one may be pleasant, second one unpleasant, the other side, then the 3rd one, which is arising. So they're trying just to classify smell or to have a category for certain smells. And then looking at some certain molecular structures. So one complicated factor in understanding smell perception is that there is no reliable relationship between odor perception. So the physical aspects of signal, So they are saying that the molecular structure doesn't influence the way you perceive smell, but smell just comes as it is. So just looking at just a portion of olfactory anatomy, just for us to understand why we were talking about classification of smell. There's this olfactory binding protein. This substance is found in the nose. It helps to trap and transport odorous molecules to the olfactory epithelium. Then comes olfactory receptor cells, these neurons, and the olfactory epithelium, which begin the process of smelling. And they say these nerve endings, they are connected straight to the brain, and they are the only nerve which are capable of regeneration, like here 5 to 8 weeks. So you find out that's why smell is quite important. And then like these receptor proteins that act as a lock and key sites for odorous molecules. Deficiency in receptor proteins can lead to anosmias, where one cannot have a proper what do you call it, idea of certain smells. Like here, sorry, air with odorant molecules, it enters, and then the odorant receptor, odorant bind to a receptor, you see, and then olfactory receptor cells are activated and send electrical signals. Find here olfactory receptors, nasal epithelium, then the bone, then olfactory bulb, where there's glomerulus, a combination of glomeruli, and then mitral cells. So the signals are relayed in glomeruli, which is the one which collects, and then mitral, the signals are transmitted to the higher regions of the brain. So in the exchange from ear to ear, that's where transduction takes place, and then it what gets transmitted straight to the brain. So the olfactory nerve projects to both subcortical, hypothalamus. You can find the thalamus deals with emotions, and then cortical regions. Or what do you call it, frontal cortex, where is related to memory and high cognitive abilities. As you can see, subcortical, more emotional aspects of smell, cortical, emotional plus memory and interpretation, where the perception happens. And then some chemical senses, non-odorous receptors in the nose that inform about the presence of certain potential irritating chemicals, carbon dioxide, and all other gaseous exchanges that one can detect. So it comes to these ones, non-odorous receptors. Then it comes to odor perception, that humans are less sensitive to odors since maybe we don't use the sense of smell that much. Then comes bistability. Some odorous substances are very ambiguous. Their interpretations affected by content. For example, an odorous substance that can be perceived equally as either woody or citrus will be interpreted as woody in the context of another, and ambiguously citrus odor, and vice versa. You see, so it's like it's morely changed unanimously. So most research tends to confirm that females are more sensitive to odors and can identify quite a number of odors. So the adaptation to odors, both long-term and short-term, is very possible. And then short-term is due to fatiguing receptor activity, like you stress your receptor activity and then get fatigued. And then long-term is more to structural changes in regenerating nerve cells. So odor sensitivity declines with age and also with smoking. So that's the concept about classifying smells using that Henning prism of 6 smells. Some they may say 10, where they add other classifications. So the activity is just find one classification or whatever framework or theoretical, and then in the activity you mention it, trying to link it with the Henning classification prism. You have a wonderful day.